You have just tuned in to the Cowbell Factors podcast, the live version. I'm your host, Alexis Sierra Vaughn, Senior Director of Agency Marketing for Cowbell Cyber, signaling a new era in cyber insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited about our first guest of this new live version of the Cowbell Factors podcast. We have with us none other than our COO and co-founder, Trent Cooksley. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm cowbell welcome to Trent. Welcome, Trent.
Hey, Alexis, how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you, Trent?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have you on the podcast this season. We are going to talk about something so exciting. We're going to talk about today a new announcement that Cowbell just made public this week. We're going to talk a little bit about adaptive insurance and exactly what that means. So I'm really excited about talking to you a little bit about this, Trent. And also, our audience would really love to get to know you a little bit more as well. So let's get into it.
Great.
All right. So Trent, I think it's always really helpful for our audience to really get to know the Cowbellers that we bring on the podcast. So let's kind of start out with you just introducing yourself to our listeners and our viewers and letting them know a little bit about you and your background and the path that you took that brought you all the way to the Cowbell Factors podcast and to Cowbell Cyber.
Absolutely. I've been in insurance for quite a long time, but I started my career in banking and bond trading. I quickly realized that was as much of an athletic event as an intellectual one for me, and moved into the insurance space. In between there, I did have a couple of startups that I attempted to scale and really couldn't get them off the ground to the pace that I wanted them to in real estate analytics. But I was lucky enough to find a great group of folks who were just starting and growing a small workers' compensation managing general agent and insurance carrier. So a little bit of luck, a little bit of serendipity, was able to help that organization scale very quickly until we sold it to a Fortune 500 insurance carrier. And then I spent 9 years with that organization in a variety of different roles. So I got to learn about just about every insurance product under the sun. And I had always focused on how technology could be utilized to make underwriting better, to sell better, to make customer experience better, and how that really layered into the insurance world. I got to work with a lot of really interesting and intelligent individuals, a lot of good mentors along the way. And after many years at Markel Corporation, I decided that it was time to do something different. And I had been watching what had been going on in the cyber market, specifically because you could just see as the digitization of our world was speeding up at such a rapid pace that corporations' digital assets and how they were leveraging technology was becoming one of their most important assets, but two, also critical new risks were being created from that utilization. And as I was watching how it was being underwritten and how it was being looked at from a loss perspective, and really how technology and data was being leveraged, I felt like there were opportunities in the cyberspace. And there's also a nice growth curve opportunity as well. And I couldn't do that by myself though, because I wasn't an expert in cybersecurity. I was lucky enough, Jack Kudale, our founder and CEO at the Global Insurance Accelerator, an organization that I was on the board of, and we got to talking, and there was a good fit, and there was a lot of good synergies between how we were looking at the opportunity set and the market. So in August of 2019, we put fingers to keyboards and started really building out Cowbell, and here we are, just a little over 3 years later, and we've got our own podcast. So that's pretty cool.
You have to love that. I really, really love your background and how different and unique it is. And also I love the fact that you chose to kind of pivot within the insurance industry and go into such a complex product like cyber insurance. So I think that's really, really important, especially because we want to talk a little bit more about basically this new concept that Cowbell just launched, adaptive insurance. Can you kind of explain what that means, especially to the cyber insurance market? We definitely kind of want to hear it straight from the COO and co-founder Trent Cooksley himself. It's one thing to read the press release, but I always think it's really good for us to kind of just have a conversation around it and give it a little more context.
Sure. Well, if I could step back a little bit, going back to the summer of 2019, Jack and Rajiv and myself were really talking about how you could leverage an underwriting, a distribution, a risk management, and a cybersecurity platform to be more on top of identifying the exposures that were occurring in the marketplace and adapting to how quickly those exposures were changing and how those vulnerabilities were impacting corporations. And so we had the idea of a usage-based, a telematics type platform, because we also had these connections into the many cybersecurity tools, so we could see behind firewalls, and we could see what was really happening deep within an organization. That was a pretty big leap at the time, and so what we did was we created our Cowbell Factors, which could just use outside-in data and proxy data that we could get to score and benchmark an organization's cyber risk and compare that to their peers. So potential policyholders had a better understanding of where they kind of sat within their security stack versus their peers, so they could see if they were going to be more of a target for threat actors or not. And as that outgrowth occurred, we had always been building a core foundation within our technology set to really get much more dynamic in how we could evaluate that. And so now here we are announcing adaptive insurance, which really by its nature is dynamic to the changing aspects of cyber risk. So as these risks evolve, the intention is that coverages can evolve, policies can evolve, risk profiles can evolve, and that we're following the active risk at all times. This allows for much more quick mitigation of new vulnerabilities, potentially old vulnerabilities, and new exposures, zero-day exploits that are occurring in the marketplace, and can provide as a risk bearer a better understanding of our entire portfolio set of policyholders, but it just as importantly allows to improve the risk profile of our policyholders, and so they have a better understanding of where they sit, and that they know that the policy that they're purchasing is adapting to their ever-changing landscape. So as these organizations adopt new technologies, maybe do more remote work or work from home or hybrid type of work, or just using new platforms themselves, a new HR platform, or you're using a new staffing platform, you're using a new risk management platform, you know that your Cowbell policy understands what's happening with your organization and is providing you the most appropriate coverage for the risks that you face.
Absolutely. I really love our approach that we're taking here when it comes to adaptive insurance. So Trent, can you talk a little bit about what makes this particular this approach unique to the industry and the insurance industry as a whole, and even as it relates to cyber?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, in most lines of insurance, they're 12-month or 6-month contracts that are underwritten once per year and then are evaluated at renewal. In some cases, they're actually gone back and audited. So the insurance company may go back and audit receipts or audit payrolls of what really happened during the policy period versus what was estimated to happen at the beginning of the policy period, and that's fine for a lot of insurance lines, and a lot of times the insurance purchase process can be painful for some organizations, depending on their level of complexity or their level of risk. But what we're doing now is evaluating on a continuous basis. So we don't need to go back in time and decide that maybe we didn't make a great decision as underwriters, or the policyholder didn't make the appropriate decision and how they answered questions, maybe because they just didn't know or they didn't understand, or any changes that had occurred in the policy were actually addressed. So providing that type of risk assessment and exposure on a continuous basis, 24/7, 365, allows for a better understanding across the board. Again, it's unique because it's never been implemented before, and a lot of organizations wouldn't have the technology to be able to do that, and they also don't want to be on 24/7. So we love it here. We're really excited about the potential for partnerships that this is going to create, and also maybe the potential for our policyholders to sleep a little better at night, because cyber risks are becoming one of the top number one risk areas for a lot of boardrooms, and so we'd like our policyholders to sleep well at night, knowing that we are continuously assessing and adapting to the ever-changing threat landscape, as well as just the ever-changing landscape of those particular policyholders.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I feel that really kind of stands out about adaptive insurance is that we're constantly evolving with the cyber market, because as you know, it changes daily. So I think this is really, really great. Our approach to this with this adaptive cyber insurance is going to be really huge. So, I know we also made another launch right alongside this one as well. We basically, I want to kind of talk about how Cowbell has officially become a full stack carrier through Cowbell Specialty Insurance Company, also known as CSIC. So can you share a little bit more about this with our listeners and our viewers today? Cowbell Specialty Insurance Company. I think this is just a huge, huge deal. It's going to be a great value add for everyone involved, all the way to policyholders and our agents and brokers as well. So tell us a little bit more about that, Trent.
Yeah. So up until this point, Cowbell has operated as a managing general agent, where we do from soup to nuts all the work within the life cycle of an insurance policy, and we partner with highly rated, reputable insurance carriers and reinsurers to help share in the risk that we take on for our policyholders, and we're going to continue to do that. Those relationships and partnerships are going to continue in the same manner that we've done in the past. We have some great partners that have been really great to work with, supportive of us, and I think they appreciate what we do out in the field as well. But there are some things to be really innovative that you want to control a little bit more of the dials yourself. So we did create Cowbell Cyber, Cowbell Specialty Insurance Company, and we're going to leverage this carrier as we go through the process of doing all the things that you need to do regulatorily to do that, to really try to be as innovative as we can. And there's also benefits that our policyholders can have at being a part of an adaptive cyber program, that as they're doing continuous improvements on their own, that take place, at the individual account level. They naturally roll up to an organization's cyber stack, and we want to reward them for that as well, and be partners within that. So Cowbell Specialty should offer us the ability to do that. There's a lot of hurdles that an organization has to go through to create a carrier, and we're really excited that we've crossed a lot of those. But there's still a lot of work to be done. And as I said, we're still going to for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue our partnerships that we have with our reinsurance and carrier partners today.
I love that. So just kind of talking a little bit more about that, how does actually adaptive insurance complement CSIC?
Well, they really complement each other. We went into our certificate of authority process with the idea that we were going to have an adaptive cyber risk profile, and that's new. And so a lot of our state regulator friends haven't really thought a lot about that. They're listening to us, and that's awesome. But they do have some benchmarks in telematics and auto, and maybe some similarities to pay-as-you-go work comp, although it's much more simplistic. But there's a benefit to having those kind of conversations with the regulators, that our policyholders can feel like they have the quality type of protection on the regulatory side, just like they would feel like they have the quality type of risk assessment from what we bring from a technology standpoint.
All of that's really, really good to know. And thank you for explaining that a little bit more for our viewers. So Trent, what I want to know is, what should our viewers and listeners take away from Cowbell's announcement of CSIC, and how will it affect our various stakeholders that we have in place today?
There's not going to be much change for all the stakeholders that we have in place. Like I said, we're going to continue to offer our Prime 100 and our Prime 250 products that we have out in the marketplace today. And we're going to still can do that in conjunction with the partners that we have. And we're still going to give the same type of incredible service and claims and risk engineering management that we're known for today. But now we're going to have additional options. So for someone who may be a little more forward thinking, or they may be thinking about their risk in a more adaptive way, maybe looking for more enhanced coverages that may be available, potentially higher sublimits on specific coverages, depending on what we're seeing within the security stack, and really maybe some more advanced and nuanced coverages that may come out will be some nice opportunities that we'll be able to share with our policyholders, and that's going to be really important, just again because of the ever changing and evolving nature of this particular risk. If you look back every year, if you look back 12 months, there's been some new attack, some new vector, some new scare that comes out that many people hadn't prepared for previously, and sometimes what they are preparing for, it never happens, and so basically to be able to have a holistic approach to being able to adapt to everything that's happening in the marketplace. That's only going to get more than likely only going to get faster. It's only going to happen more often, and I can probably make a good case to guarantee that organizations will adopt new technologies, and other new companies will start that will bring new technologies to the table that could open new exposures within legacy technologies or those new ones themselves, and that the threat actors are going to continue to play the game that they've been playing, which we take a lot of pride in fighting.
I think that is just really awesome. And I'm really excited about what Cowbell is doing when it comes to CSIC. and also when it comes to adaptive insurance. Trent, I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to spend with us a little time on the Cowbell Factors podcast live show and talking to us about adaptive insurance. Any final thoughts you want to leave with our viewers and listeners?
No, just check out Cowbell Cyber and everything that we have to offer, and just as importantly is make sure for organizations you all have a specific amount of a risk around running your business, and we want to help our policyholders be on top of that, but also just help the market continue to get better.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me, Alexis. It was great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trent. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in this week for our first official live season premiere of the Cowbell Factors podcast, the live show. We want to thank you for tuning in, and make sure that you tune in and stream all the past seasons of the Cowbell Factors podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and so many more podcast platforms. Whatever your favorite podcast platform is, make sure you look up the Cowbell Factors podcast, follow it, like it, and actually give us a 5-star rating on all streaming platforms. Again, thank you so much for tuning in and learning about adaptive cyber insurance today. Make sure you visit cowbell.insure to learn more about getting appointed, and also to learn more about getting a policy with Cowbell Cyber. Thanks, and have a great week.